Welcome to The Morning Show, your daily wake-up at Watches and Wonders. I'm Belle Donati and I'm delighted to have you with us, waking up this breakfast time. Grab yourself a coffee, pull up a chair. This is your daily window into the wonderful world of watches. Think of this as your very own personal coffee shop at the Salon, at Watches and Wonders. You'll be finding out everything you need to know about the day ahead with us here. The people behind the high-quality pieces that you're going to see the whole of this week spend a lifetime in those 2 or 3 centimetres squared. They're artisans, they're artists, and they're fuelled by passion. Now, our job over the week ahead is going to be to take a dive with you into their world, to expose to you the passion behind that artistry. It's going to be our job every morning to open up that world to you. And in order to start by doing that in this inaugural episode, who better to speak to than the president of the Fondation de la Haute Horlogerie. Earlier, I sat down with Emmanuel Perrin. I asked him what we can expect from this edition of Watches and Wonders.
What we can expect is a much stronger digital experience, organized around personalization, a more intuitive surfing of the platform and use of the platform, and hopefully a much bigger success than we've had last year. More live content, more live keynotes, more interaction. Hopefully 25,000 of our trade and partners from the press, and a reach, we hope, in the hundreds of millions.
Absolutely. It's the first time that this sort of, I guess, luxury watchmaking industry, the whole of the luxury watchmaking industry congregates in one event. How important is it that that's taking place?
I think it's key for the industry or for the economic sector. I think it's very important to have a main event, a salon, our Fashion Week, our Davos. It's a bit a mix of Fashion Weeks, meet Davos, meet Watches and Wonders. It crystallizes the calendar, the agenda, and the ability for an economic sector that is quite subdued during the year, well, to shout loud and clear. This is what we're doing. These are the wonderful creations that we're launching this year. These are the incredible savoir-faire that we have. Invention, innovation, basically the art of mechanical fine watchmaking just won the status of World Heritage at UNESCO. The ability to contribute further to the patrimony of the planet, of the species, in a way. A bit ambitious, maybe, but why not?
I think it's extremely important to be ambitious. And speaking of ambition, you have a lot of new brands joining you this year. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yes, we have doubled the number of brands joining, from 19 last year to 38. We had first welcome 5 additional into what we thought would be the physical event, and those were Rolex, Tudor, Chopard, Chanel and Patek Philippe, joining Cartier, Jaeger-LeCoultre, IWC, Hermès, Ulysse Nardin, and many others. Difficult to mention them all. And we had to cancel again. I think it was the right thing to do, the reasonable thing to do back end of November, which gave us more time to improve the platform, as I mentioned, but as well to extend and to open Watches and Wonders a little bit faster than we had expected. Also, I think it's the industry coming together. It would, we hope, help more brands develop their business. It's been a tough year also economically in terms of business for the whole industry.
Of course, it's been a tough year. You guys have created this incredible online platform which allows you in some ways to reach more people than you physically could in Geneva at the Palais Expo. Who are you speaking to with this digital edition?
Well, first, especially during the Salon, which we took the same dates, we kept the same dates of the physical event from the 7th to the 13th. A preview with, again, our partners of the press, our trade, the retailers and the trade partners, and some selected clients that have been invited by the brands. And then ultimately, it's for all the watch fans in the world. As I mentioned, the reach we expect, we hope, is going to be in the hundreds of millions. We will keep the platform open until end of April. And as the reveal and the novelties will be presented by the various brands, more and more content that will be available for the open public, for the public, on the platform.
And of course, not only do we have this digital week, but there's also the physical event then taking place in Shanghai. How important is the Asian component, the Asian market to all of this?
I think we go to Shanghai again because we kind of tested it back in September. It was simply the only place where we could organize a physical event, and we did the Watches and Wonders in September. We decided to do it again this year, 14th to 18th, so right after the digital platform, and I would say the main event. As well, there double the number of brands that will be present physically. It allows us to stay, I would say, relevant, to have a stronger voice for our Asian clientele, Chinese, but not only Chinese, Asian clientele. And I think, like in any other economic sector, of course, you can do without Asia, but then it's probably 1/3, half, depending on which industry, less potential in your sales and your activity. So I think very important, not only, but very important.
Well, of course, I mean, we all hope that the world is going to go somewhat back to normal by next year, that the world might have opened up enough that you could have a physical salon. But do you think there's still a future for this sort of digital experience beyond the pandemic?
It's a very interesting question. 2 years ago, it was the opposite question that I was being asked. Do you think there is a future for a physical salon going forward? So interesting to see in 15, 18 months how the question is changing. And I would say both. There was already a digital component in the last Watches and Wonders that we had, which was in 2019 now. But that was it. Again, it wasn't the main event. We were looking at it as a must-have with a limited focus. Obviously, now we've seen how important it is, how complementary it is to the physical event. So I hope next year we will have a perfectly balanced event between the physical salon and the digital platform. But one event, not two.
Emmanuel Perrin, thank you very much for talking to us.
Ben, thank you very much for having me.
Well, of course, this last year has been extremely different for all of us for many, many different reasons. And for those of you who are used to attending the Salon in Geneva at the Palexpo here in person, things will feel extremely different. Well, here to talk about the incredible new digital experience is the Fondation's CEO, Mathieu Humer. I sat down with him and asked him what we can expect again this time from the digital experience.
This new 2021 Watches and Wonders digital platform will offer an interactive and full experience by allowing the Maison to unveil the novelties all in one place. We really want to recreate contact, to connect people from all around the world. It is clearly a communication and business platform, a real place of expression in live, with exclusive content developed by the Maison specifically for this event. With this platform, we also want to have interactive program, keynotes, brand presentation, press and retailer presentation, but also a consolidated media center for the journalists to download the content all in one place, and also many new reveals that will happen during the week.
So that's in terms of the experience, the consumer experience. What about those interactions? Let's go into that a little bit more. How will they work?
Yeah, well, this morning show is a perfect place to interact and to communicate and to give resonance to the most relevant topics with CEOs interviews, recap of the keynotes, recap of the reveals of the previous day, and sneak peeks on tomorrow's program. So really, this is a perfect place to interact, but also the panels that will take place every day at 12:15. I highly recommend everyone to follow them on different topics such as innovation, distribution, counterfeiting. So this will be very interesting to follow, and a lot of interaction for sure during the press and retailer presentation for the brands. With Watches and Wonders, we really want to create a joint speaking for the entire industry and to celebrate fine watchmaking.
And this is, of course, a new venture in the world of Swiss watchmaking. What does the digital experience allow you to do? Who does it allow you to reach beyond the traditional watchmaking sphere?
Well, digital offers a different experience, something very new, definitely, with lots of new possibility. Depending on the technology you use, you can reach a very high level of precision and details, not to mention augmented reality or virtual experiences. So this is something new for the Maison. And today, in the context like today, everything that brings the product closer to the customer is a huge opportunity, and this is what we do with Watches and Wonders.
And what about the overlap, I guess, between what we're going to experience over the next week here at Watches and Wonders, the digital version, and then what's happening in Shanghai? How much overlap might there be?
Well, exclusive content will be revealed during this Watches and Wonders week here in Geneva, international launches, and right after in Shanghai, also specific content and products that will be revealed in Shanghai for the Chinese consumer. Digitally or physically, Geneva or Shanghai, the experience will be quite unique.
Absolutely. What do you think the added value is of something like this sort of digital salon to the conventional, the normal salon that we know?
Well, it offers a different experience, I would say, something new. But after 2 years now without a physical event in Geneva, the excitement to be back in 2022 is huge. Today we are quite happy to organize an event, a digital event in this context, to bring the people together and to exchange and to transmit the value, the passion of know-how and the beautiful craftsmanship that we have. So we are quite happy today with this Watches and Wonders digital event.
And you've obviously worked extremely closely developing this digital platform. Is there one part of it that you're most excited about unveiling to the public?
Connection, interaction, I will say. People need today to exchange and to connect. So quite excited about that.
Mathieu Humer, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. But this new 2021.
Well, let's now introduce you to our splendid team of experts who are going to be with me all week to take that dive inside the world of watchmaking. They're going to be joining us in the studio, but also via the wonders of the internet from around the world. First of all, we have Gianfranco Richel, who's in the studio with me. He is the Swiss Watchmakers Insider, and he works as an independent consultant in watchmaking. Welcome to you, Gianfranco. Good to have you with us.
Good morning.
And then we have joining us from Shanghai, Carson Chan, the chief advisor to the Fondation de la Haute Horlogerie. He's there in Shanghai ahead of the physical salon that is, of course, starting on the 14th of April. And then joining us from Munich, we have Joanna Lange. She's a watch trainer, and her job is to make the interior world of watches accessible to people, well, people like me, perhaps people like you watching as well. Let's get cracking to all of you. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining us from all the way abroad where you are. I want to start in the studio here with Gianfranco. What are you most excited about seeing this week?
Obviously, novelties. But there is much more behind it because, as we know, behind every single watch, there are women and men working hard all over the year and creating new concepts, new materials, new functions, new ideas. So it's exciting for us to discover them in this short time of 1 week and trying to understand them, to read them, to see where the industry is going on. It's really exciting. And I'm doing that now for more than 40 years, as I began as a child, and believe me, it's still exciting like a child at the first day at school. So I'm really thrilled to see what will be presented this week.
And of course, for Gianfranco, because he's here physically in Geneva, there might be the possibility to touch some watches, we're hoping. But that will be a very different experience for Joanna and for Carsten. Joanna, what are you most looking forward to from where you are in Munich?
Yeah, it's going to be so exciting. Of course, we have these 38 brands, so many brands haven't come together in the past on a digital platform. And of course, I'm really interested to see what sort of trends will be evolving, what new trends will be coming up. And of course, we can get all this information in the comfort of our own home. So my feet won't be as sore at the end of the day.
And that's certainly true. Carsten, what about for you? What are you most looking forward to this week?
Well, I think it's great to have a lot of digital events happening this week, but I'm definitely looking forward to the physical event right after this digital event in Shanghai. So having interaction with other collectors and touching the product, it's just simply at this moment, I think it's irreplaceable experience. But this week, like Gianfranco, Joanna, I think it's looking forward to seeing the new product, how it is going to develop the trend for the future, how is the watch industry going to show us all these new novelties.
Well, let's pick up on that actually, Carsten. Are there any trends in particular that you've identified already or that you think might be coming down the pipeline this week?
Well, I think we saw a few pieces that popped up in the past 3 months in 2021. And I think a color is going to be something very, very strongly shared in between brands. And I'll let you guys guess what color is going to be the main trend this year.
Oh, don't make us guess. Gianfranco's laughing here in the studio with us. Gianfranco, any idea of the colours?
Let's keep the suspense for the next days.
They're keeping everything extremely under wraps, under hats. You're going to have to tune in every morning in order to find out what these colours are going to be. Let's talk a little bit about this new experience. We are digital this year, which of course is extremely different. We've been somewhat forced into this digital space. But do you think, Gianfranco, there could be some benefits to that?
Yeah, sure. I fully agree with Carsten, and I think we all will miss to touch and feel the watches, except me, because I will have few watches here through the next days.
Don't make me jealous.
But it's the most important part. As a watch is part of our body, so we have to feel, to touch, to compare it. So that's really important. But at the same time, instead of bringing people here to visit manufacturer, to visit the booth and touching the watches, through the new technology, we can bring the watch industry in their home at the same time for thousands and thousands of people. So that's the advantage of technology. So we'd have to take the right advantage on it and find new ideas to bring the emotion, the backstage of the watch industry to everyone's home. So that's the new challenge. And I guess a lot of brands already applied new ideas and are really creative to do that. And I just saw a few examples in few last months. So I'm thrilled to see what happens this week.
Joanna, do you think that's going to be helpful for you as well? I mean, as a watch trader, do you think this digital experience might be able to bring new people on board?
Of course. I mean, we're reaching a wider audience, so everyone's getting the information at first hand, instantaneously. And of course, we've had to adapt also for training within the watch industry to be on a digital platform. So all of these new videos and new ways that brands have evolved to really get that message out will be really great for us looking forward for training during the year.
Yeah, absolutely. Carsten, very quickly from you, do you think this may become the new normal, this sort of digital experience for the Salon?
I think in retrospect, the pandemic is actually pushing us to do this to be on digitally. I already see some brands pushing the envelope using augmented reality to try to put a watch on your wrist without having the real thing. So definitely, I believe this is going to stay even when the pandemic is over. It is going to stay. It is going to become part of the new normal. For sure.
That's really interesting. Look, it's great to have you all with us. We've given you the introduction. We're going to have Gianfranco in the studio, Carson and Joanna joining us through the week. Do stay with us. Thank you all very much for joining us this morning. We look forward to speaking with you during the week. Well, we're going to be introducing our panels now because every day during this week, the Fondation is going to be hosting a panel discussion every afternoon. That's going to start today. Each of these panel discussions will be throwing a spotlight on a different aspect, a different angle of the watchmaking process and the watchmaking business. And for us here at The Morning Show, we're going to be previewing those discussions. We may even take a little look back at what happened the day before. To do that, we're going to be joined in the studio by Pascal Ravessou, who's with me now. Lovely to have you with us, Pascal.
Great to be here, thank you.
Now, you, of course, are the Director of External Affairs for the Fondation. You're also a watchmaking expert in your own right. I know you've told me already you don't want to talk about yourself. You don't like to talk about yourself very much. But I do just want to delve into one aspect, which is your love, your passion for watchmaking, which started quite early, didn't it?
Yes, I was an early adopter of the Swatch phenomenon when I was a teen already. And then a few years later, I discovered the mechanical movement, and that sold me to traditional watchmaking forever. And pushed me to dig it in more and more each day. So today I'm lucky enough to have turned my passion into my profession for 20 years now.
Gosh, you're extremely lucky. I bet lots of people would love to be able to do that. Just let's turn to the panels now. Every afternoon, what sort of topics are going to be discussed in those panels?
You know, last year Swiss watch exports fell sharply at -22%. Of course, a rebound is expected this year, but beyond the numbers, the COVID really changed the rules. It changed the way we do business on a long term, and the world, and including our industry, will never be exactly the same. So the objective of these panels is to have a high-level reflection on some of the changes that are strategic issues for our future. So we've identified 6 of them. The first one is corporate social responsibility. It's, of course, a very large but central topic. The second one is the evolution, or shall I say the revolution of the distribution. And then we'll speak about client experience and its ever-growing importance in a world that is more and more phygital. It's the really topical word today. Then we speak about innovation in the prism of the final client and what it really brings to it. And then the fifth one is the blockchain and the various aspects that will be affected by blockchain for our business. And then we'll round it up the last day with the product trends that our panelists will have observed throughout the fair.
Now, our time, unfortunately, is short this morning, so I just want to sort of move us on and talk about the pandemic. We can't get away from it. How has the world of haute horlogerie responded to COVID-19?
Well, you know, some say being Swiss and watchmaker doesn't necessarily call for speed. Well, I might object that, as our industry is pretty resilient and determined. And every time watchmaking was faced with a crisis, we responded swiftly or massively. It was the case with the quartz crisis. It's still the case with the COVID crisis. And we'll see that throughout the panels.
Absolutely. Well, I'm really glad to hear that. Well, listen, Pascal, thank you very much for talking us through briefly those panel discussions. We will have you, thankfully, every day to talk us through the panel discussions. And of course, for you watching, those panel discussions will be available on replay every afternoon. Well, it's time for us now to go behind the clock face. This is the segment where we invite you to dream. The boundary-pushing and innovative designs that you're going to see during the week are all in the hands of the artisans, the artists who make them. Today, we're going to be focusing on 2 of those brands and the designs, the artistry that they have created. We're going to start with a message from Alanga and Sone about what we can expect from them at the platform here. Well, I'm delighted to be joined to talk a little bit more about what we saw in the film there from Berlin by Barbara Hans. She is the Chief Marketing Officer at Langer & Söhne. Ms. Hans, thank you very much for joining us. It's a pleasure to be speaking to you this morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm very well too, thank you.
Good, I'm very glad to hear that. Let's start with this particular customer experience. We saw a little bit, a taste of it in that film there. What can we expect from the particular customer experience you're creating on the platform this week?
Well, what we try to do is to obviously bring to life the subtle difference of A. Lange & Söhne. And, you know, everything starts with an idea, and we wanted to do it in the very much the Lange way, which is the subtle difference. And for the subtle difference to come to life, we needed the experience hub. So we are creating an experience hub here. And for an experience hub that is full of photographers and creating assets and speaking to the world out there, we actually also needed a place. And I'm welcoming you here from right on the Kudamm in Berlin in the Alhambra. So we have a beautiful space here. You can see it a little bit around me. And for an experience to come to life, you also need a lot of people. So I have a small, well-tested army all around me, creating assets all the time that we are then live and in full speed digitally sending out to the world, the watch lovers, the customers, and our retail partners out there.
Oh, well, it's wonderful that we can be with you in spirit via Zoom, via the internet like this.
I mean, look at this where I'm here, yeah.
It's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. It feels like we're really there. Why is it important for A. Lange & Söhne to have this sort of digital innovation?
A. Lange & Söhne is a very traditional watchmaking maison, and I think we will continue to be a very traditional watchmaking maison. But we're also, you know, a modern company in the way how we communicate with our customers and our fans and the media partners out there. And over the last year, we also learned a lot, and we had to adopt and adapt. And this is the result of this. The Watches and Wonders last year was, you know, had to be created very fast and very quickly. This time we had a little bit more time on our hands. We took the learnings from the last time and we created something that actually brings to life our timepieces, and we have the digital capabilities now to actually show them to the people out there in detail. We're not using augmented reality, I have to say that. We haven't gone that far, but I'm sure that people out there in the world can see our new beauties very much in detail.
Well, even with what we've glimpsed this morning, it looks extremely beautiful. Thank you so much for talking us through that. Barbara Hans, Chief Marketing Officer there at Lange & Söhne. Well, we're going to go for our second dive behind the clock face now. This time, it's with Hermès. Well, I'm delighted to say that we can meet the two artists behind that beautiful scenography that we just saw there at the Bâtiment des Forces Motrices here in Geneva. The artists Clément Vieille and Pierre Pose are joining us now. Thank you for being with us.
Hi.
Hi there. Let's start.
Thank you.
Clément Vieille, let's start with you. What was your inspiration behind the scenography that you created? What was your starting point?
Okay. The main idea in the beginning of the project start with this question: if time have a structure, which kind of structure is it? And my proposition is this tensegrity structure. It's a really strong structure with compression, with this carbon fiber tubes, tension. It's 8 meters tall, and with the two mirror, it's the illusion of infinite. And like the Hermes Time, it's a completely compressible structure. It's just 80 centimeters tall when it's completely compressed.
Yeah, it's absolutely stunning. Pierre Pause, I can see you there. Thank you for walking us around it. I'm really happy that you were able to move around it with us there. Pierre Pause, how have you integrated the Hermes H08 into the concept that we're seeing?
I integrate it in two ways because for my part, I create a sort of narrative video declined in a 12 screen where I work on the influence of vibration on fluids, water or natural elements as a sand, and I breed some sculpture with machine who create these patterns, and I work also on the concept of infinity through the process of infinity mirror, as you can see there, for example, on the roof.
Oh, we may possibly have lost. I'm so sorry about that. That was just at the part where we were about to get a reveal there. We may be coming back to them. Are we able to come back to the Bâtiment des Forces?
Yeah.
Motrice, perfect. Please do carry on. I'm so sorry we lost you there for a second, but please keep going. It's wonderful. What we were seeing was fantastic. So just talk us through. Do you know what? I'd love to ask you as well, because we are in this fantastic space there. How did you approach that space? It's an enormous building. How did you approach it? Clément Vieille.
It's an amazing building because 120 years ago it was a flagship of the time. The structure is just in front of really big turbines, and they make energy with the flow of water during 100 years. And it's really interesting because all the structure is like a fantastic technological challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. I can imagine. I can well imagine. Just very, very briefly, Pierre Pause, in sort of 20 seconds, what does it mean for an artist to be invited to do a project like this?
It's a great opportunity to experiment some new forms, new shapes at a different scale, as you see. And it was a great experience because it's between a white card and a command, and we are very free in the process of creation.
Oh, well, it's wonderful. Thank you so much to you, Pierre Pause there and Clément Vieille from the Bâtiment des Forces Motrices there with their wonderful scenography for Hermes. That's really brought it to life for us and shows you how intertwined the artistic world is with the world of haute horlogerie. Well, listen, I'm afraid that's it from us for this morning. We're all out of time. Thank you very much for waking up with us, for being with us for this first edition of The Morning Show. We will, of course, be here with you all week. We'll be previewing everything that's to come during the day. And tomorrow morning, we'll be looking back at what has happened today. There is a packed schedule ahead of you. So I hope you are ready. I hope you feel very woken up and energized and that you're going to enjoy everything from our teams here and, of course, from all the brands on the platform. Goodbye for now.